What's up, guys? Just setting up the stream quick. Give me just a moment. Okay. So I wanted to get this out a little sooner than I did, this new load order, but I've been working like crazy. Yesterday I worked from 7:30 in the morning till 11 at night, and I maybe had 2 or 3 hours of break in that day. So needless to say, then I worked again this morning until about 4, so my body and brain is just exhausted. So but I wanted to get this out to you guys. So I've already taken the liberty of setting up our INI settings and getting all of our mods ready to go. So, for those who are like just tuning in, who maybe haven't watched any of my recent videos, maybe you're not really familiar with my load orders. Recently I started putting out recommendations in my load order files for both PS5 Pro and base PS5 users. I curated this load order on a PS5 Pro. That said, this load order should handle quite well on the base PS5. I'm still going to make some recommendations. There will be times where you might take some frame hits on the base PS5 because we are using Nature Wildlands, which is a pretty dense tree mod. And then we also have a pretty dense flora stack. So there'll be some times where you hit some stutters, but I would say probably about 90% of the time you're going to be stable. That said, I've made some recommendations on the INI tweaks, and if you're on base PS5 and you use my load orders, all of my recommendations for performance are optional. You know, it's basically depending on, you know, what you prefer. If you want to run with the Pro settings, you could do that. Just know that you're gonna probably get some more stuttering than I have on my Pro. In general, if you're on base PS5, it's probably a good idea to use 13's engineering toolbox. That'll help net you a few more frames per second, especially in those dense areas. But otherwise, I will post the file for this load order after we are through with this stream and after we're through with the testing. So a couple changes I've made from the last load order. The big one, which I talked about in my thread in the Discord, was we dropped mysticism, because it was brought to my attention that mysticism does not play nice with Valkyrie, which we are using for our perk overhaul. Let me go ahead and open the creations menu. We are sitting at 190 mods right now. I think I'm going to keep it here for a while. I kind of like being under 200. It just makes it easier sorting through your mods and just using the creation menu in general. I'm not one of those people who's going to tell you, like, always sort your mods offline. I have a pretty bad habit of always sorting my mods online, just because I like to be able to see the names and the descriptions, and it's just easier. That said, if you are going to sort your mods online, there's a couple of things you should know, especially for you new guys. Always let your creation menu fully load before you start doing anything. Like, don't even touch the controller until your creation menu is fully loaded. Don't start scrolling through the mod pages. Don't start scrolling through your load order. Let everything load. This can sometimes lead to your load order getting jumbled up, and we don't want that. But outside of that, you should be fine. I've had no issues, and at one point I had like 280 something mods, almost 300 mods in one of my previous load orders. So that said, there's been some changes to the placements. You'll see that all in the file. The biggest change, of course, is that we're using Odin now for our magic overhaul. And we are also... I also threw Magical College of Winterhold in here. Where is it? There it is. Because I kind of realized in hindsight I didn't have anything touching Winterhold aside from Written's, and I wanted to and we don't have the space for JK's Winterhold, which I love, but it's like 15 megabytes, so we're kind of strapped for space here in this load order. Now, one thing I will say, depending on your preference, if you wanted to add some of your own mods into this, one thing I could recommend you change, if you wanted to, you could take out GDB's Elden Beast and opt for a more modular approach with your animation and combat stack. I'm not going that route after previously having been playing that route in some of my previous load orders, just because what I was going for with this load order. So let's talk about that for a minute. We drastically increased the density of the forests with Nature of the Wildlands. That was one of the biggest things I wanted to add to this load order. And I wanted to create a world that not only felt fun to explore, but felt new and refreshing to some of us who've played Skyrim tons of times, countless times. But when it came to the combat, I wanted something that felt weighty, kind of heavy. Heavy's a bad word for it. Methodical, in a way. I play a melee character. Perhaps for some magic characters, this is a little less important because you just can kind of go in and blast everything. But for melee characters, I like the tense feeling of going into combat knowing I could potentially get wrecked here. You know, if I don't have my wits about me, you know, I'm not just walking in and spraying everything with magic. And listen, if that's how you play, there's nothing wrong with that. I like to play magic characters in a few other games, like Elden Ring, for example. But with combat, I also didn't want it to feel like you're just walking in and smashing everything. You know what I mean? and just walking out of every fight basically unscathed. So I wanted to add enough challenge. Now, Skyrim is an old game. It can be a clunky and feel janky at times, even just vanilla. So I wanted to add difficulty, not in a way that wouldn't feel frustrating. And I think part of that is how the character moves, and some of the systems behind the combat. So I think Elden Beast is great for movement. I like the animations. I like that it gives you a lot of variety. For those who don't know, like, you can go into the Elden Beast spells that it gives you, and there's tons of different animation options. You can turn a bunch of them off if you don't like them. Now at 64 megabytes, you might ask yourself, hey, is it worth keeping if I'm going to turn a lot of these off? And that's your decision to make. You could feasibly free up about 40 or 50 megabytes of space by dropping Elden Beast. So if you really had a mod that you felt you weren't able to fit in this load order, and you can't play without it, this is an area where you could trim some fat. Now, that said, I generally play with all the animations turned on. Elden Beast can be buggy at times. I'm going to put a list of important notes that you should know about Elden Beast and the way it interacts with some of the other mods in the load order in my PDF file that I released tonight. Yeah, so anyway, ultimately I think it adds to the overall effect. It makes the game feel more alive, makes your character feel more alive. You know, right now he's covering himself up because he's naked. You know, sometimes when he gets up from bed, he'll stand up and stretch. You know, it's like the little things like that make it feel, to me, more immersive. You know, when you drink a potion, he actually drinks a potion. Even just standing around, the idle animations, it's fun to just watch him kind of, you know, do stuff, you know, instead of your character just standing there and doing nothing. And on top of that, I feel like I like the run animation. I like the sword animations. I pretty much have no problems with Elden Beast other than that. I wish sometimes it wasn't as buggy as it is, and its file size could be smaller. Now, if we had a 5 gigabyte data cap, I wouldn't be complaining so much about Elden Beast. I'd probably use it without reservation. But since we do have a data cap at 1 gigabyte, if you really needed the space, you could go that modular approach like I was talking about. So let's just get into the game. I don't want this to be a terribly long stream. I want to get this load order out, and to be honest, I want to go to sleep. I'm pretty fucking tired. So I've made some changes to how I set up Wildcat. That's going to be kind of important to talk about here because it's going to make a big difference. It could save you a ton of frustration. When I first loaded up this new load order, I walked into my first few fights and got absolutely wrecked. And I found myself just taking out the fire spell and just trying to melt my way through and get my character leveled up because I was just getting wrecked left and right. And not in a way that felt like fun, like, oh, I could kind of work through this. It felt a little unfair because of how, you know, old Skyrim is and how old the systems are. I mean, we do a lot of polishing with our mods, but there's only really so much you can do. I felt like I was just getting flanked by enemies and attacked from behind, and if you use Wildcat with all of the default settings set up, you're gonna get wrecked if you let an enemy flank you and get behind you. He's gonna do 25% increased damage. And I also found that Uh, one of the settings, it's like a opportunity of attack setting, and when I had that enabled, they were just power attacking me left and right. It's like all they were doing. So it didn't feel right. It didn't feel normal. So I'm going to show you my settings for Wildcat. This is what I think this is going to make or break your experience with this load order. So disable dynamic combat. No, most of these things we're going to leave at default. All of these are default. Disable, no. Right? No, sorry, my brain is like lagging. Disable health-based regeneration, no. Disable slow stamina, yes. So this is a personal preference of mine. I feel that, you know, I come from games that I love are like Dark Souls and Elden Ring and things of that nature. Those can be punishing games, and the combat is weighty, it's methodical, but it's fair, and you know you can exhaust your stamina, but then sort of pull back, and then your stamina replenishes pretty quickly. You know, it's not instant by any means, but vanilla Skyrim and even with Wildcat, if you have this on, it is going to take forever for you to get your stamina back. And when you're in a fight and your stamina is gone, you're going to spend the rest of that fight either running or waiting for stamina or just pushing through the fight with zero stamina. So some of you might like that. I think it's, well, I don't like it. So I'm going to disable this. I like to get in there, I like to move around, especially with our dodge roll mod. Like, the Elden Beast has the dodge roll mod. You've got about 4 or 5 dodges at level 1, you know, assuming, you know, down the road you can upgrade your stamina and get a few more. You can also tweak that setting, so maybe you can get a few more dodge rolls. You can tweak how much stamina is consumed when you dodge roll with the dodge roll spell settings. But, you know, you got like 4 or 5 dodges and your stamina is gone. So you've got no stamina to swing your sword or anything else. So, you know, just something to keep in mind. So I turn this off. We're going to disable this. Disable slow at 0 stamina. Yes. Disable swimming. This is a personal preference, but, yes, I turn this off. Activate full body stagger. No. Disable injuries. Yes. This is another personal preference. I find it really frustrating when your character gets on his hands and knees and he does not get back up until you either drink a potion or you wait 5 minutes. So if you're in the middle of a fight, you're just going to get beat on if you get below 15% health. And I just think that's really frustrating. Like, I still have 15% health. This fight is not over, you know what I mean? But your guy's on his hands and knees. And it's just kind of gimmicky. Like, you have to go into your menu and you have to drink a potion. Oh, I don't have a potion. I guess I'm dead. You know what I mean? So, personally, I disable this. Save yourself a lot of frustration. This is default. Timed block. Default. This is what I was talking about. Disable attacks of opportunity. Disables 50% more damage dealt and taken while power attacking, and 25% more damage dealt and taken while casting a spell. So you might want to keep this for if you're a spellcaster. This might make sense. But if you're a melee character and you're constantly getting into fights, like we have the improved bandit mod, and you're going to kind of run into some scenarios where there's more bandits than you usually run into. And if you have this on, they're just going to spam power attack you. So if you're a melee character, I would not recommend this. It's really frustrating. And listen, you lose nothing. Power attacks still do more damage. It's just vanilla at this point. So it is what it is. I turn this off. I would recommend turning this off if you're a melee character. Disable backstabs. This is subjective. This is going to be based on your preference. I'm going to leave this at default. But just know that the enemies are going to try to flank you and get behind you. If you leave this on, especially at level 1, especially with low level armor, if they get behind you and they strike you, or if you run into, you know, a group of enemies thinking you're just going to throw your sword around, and one guy gets behind you, like, you're done. It's over for you. That said, it makes you think about how you approach situations. So don't just run into a group of enemies and start swinging your sword around. Like, you know, try to separate them. Take on one at a time, you know. So it makes you think. I like this one. It doesn't really seem unfair to me. It seems pretty fair to me. Like, I do jujitsu, and like one of the rules that they, you know, one of the things they teach you very early on in jujitsu is like never give up your back. So it's kind of like the same principle. Don't let the enemy get behind you. This one I leave at default. Disable health-based attack damage. This is default. Penalties versus mass. Basically everything else here is going to be default. So we basically turn off injuries, we turn off the attacks of opportunity, and I mean the rest of it is pretty much up to your preference. I talked about the camera settings in a previous video, but I'll just talk about them again really briefly for those who don't know, because I'm going to be following up this video with the new load order, and I know some people are going to watch this and probably are going to want an idea of how to set up the game. So power self-vision. I think the camera effect is important for the overall outcome of how this load order is supposed to feel. I wanted the camera to mimic something similar to For Honor. So basically what we're going to do is go into idle, melee, and ranged are all going to be the same. You're going to go, your alignment is going to be right. Your height is going to be very low, which I've changed from the last video, and your zoom is going to be close. Alright, so right, very low, close. Then you're going to go into zoom, minimum, close. FOV, this is your preference. I sometimes do 100, I sometimes do 90. Right now I'm doing 90. So that's your preference. So now we're set up. Apart from our INI tweaks, which I'm going to post those in the load order file, so I'm not going to spend much time talking about them. I've talked about them at length in other videos, so we're going to just kind of get into it here. So earlier today, someone had mentioned to me about a floating tree in one of my load orders, and I believe that is the tree right there. So if you're watching this, I want you to know that is not an issue in this load order, and I believe that it is because I think that comes from the reason it's floating. I think is because we had Riverwood Falls patched in with Northern Roads in the Azurite and the Nat load order. In this load order, we're not using Northern Roads. Northern Roads makes a lot of like landscape edits, and there is a bridge like somewhere over there, I want to say, and I know it changes. It makes a whole path back. It makes a whole back path, like a back road all the way up to Bleak Falls. So I don't know exactly what it changes in this section, but it's unchanged in this load order. So that tree is no longer floating. It's like sort of like lodged into that mountain right there, kind of like falling over. So, and then our 13's critter fix, excuse me, is making a nice little like firefly effect there, which I kind of really like. So we're going to get into our first fight here, and I'm just going to show you, for those who watched my last video and noticed that the enemies were absolutely wrecking us. You are going to run into some scenarios, like here, where there are more characters than in vanilla. Like here, we're fighting three characters, and I'm going to kind of kite this guy this way so that Archer doesn't just blast me. Oh yeah, we gotta dodge out of that. And I just realized I didn't set up any of my control tweaks. So, fuck, we gotta do that. So, despite turning off some of those settings, combat is still gonna be, it's still gonna be tough. As you see, we just died, but also, I need to set up my control. So I will make a note of this in the file, but something important to know about the way control works with Elden Beast. It works like, it's like 90% compatible. You can't hotkey potions, unfortunately. So those who kind of like being able to just press up on their D-pad, sort of like a Dark Souls game, and chug a potion, that's not going to work with this setup. However, it does still work really well for putting your spells and weapons as hotkeys. To my knowledge, everything else works. So you'll see here, the spells work, right? Pull out the torch. So it's still nice to be able to change your weapons on the fly. It makes combat a little more dynamic, in my opinion. I don't know what the audio is sounding like, but this storm is really loud in my ear, and I imagine it's probably a little hard to hear me, so I'm going to turn that down. Get into our first fight here.
You picked a bad time to get lost. Now ain't this a surprise?
So you see what I was talking about. Oh god. With the stamina. It's just, you know, it just doesn't really want to regenerate.
So I can take your stuff. Do your work. I'll try and make.
So, that one setting, so we have one setting in Wildcat worth talking about. If you like the combat to feel a little more hardcore, I'll show you the setting that you may want to consider turning off. Disable health-based regeneration. I think it's this one. So when an actor is at high health, wait, health-based regen. Disables up to 30% slower magicka and stamina regeneration when an actor is at low health. I don't think this is the one. 30% faster magicka. No, we want to leave that one on. Yes. Disable swimming. Yes. The body cycle. No. Yes. Disable bow interrupts. No. Time block. No. Attack of opportunity. This is the one we definitely want to turn off. Backstabs. We want to leave that on. This is the one. Okay, so if you wanted the combat to feel a little bit more hardcore, which goes both ways, by the way, you know, incoming and outgoing. So what this setting does, disables 25% more attack damage dealt and taken when the recipient is at low health. So when you're at high health, you will take basically less damage. You take more attack damage the lower your health gets, and you do more attack damage the lower your health gets. So it's kind of like nerfing your damage dealt for your first few strikes. So what I find the effect of this does is, like, when you walk into a fight, you're gonna expend stamina really fast just trying to get their health bar down enough to where you feel like you're making a noticeable impact. Now, this may change as you go through the game and you start to level up and you start to get perks. So you may just want to keep this on and power through it at the low levels. But if you are somebody who likes that, like, you know, walking in and, hey, the realism of, like, hey, if I hit you with a sword 3 or 4 times, like, you should be dead. You know, I shouldn't have to hit you with a sword 7, 8, 9, 10 times before I finally kill you. And then, oh, by the way, you've got 2 other people to fight. So I personally am going to leave this at default and just power through this. But this is another one I'm going to probably just suggest to, you know, to leave up to preference. They say the feature is designed to lessen the impact of high burst damage, but that's kind of what you get with that, like, that realism, you know what I mean? Like, mods that increase the damage output. Like, in previous load orders, we had the hardcore melee damage scaling mod. That's essentially what Wildcat does. That's one of the other settings. It increases the damage output by 25%. It's incoming damage and outgoing damage, but then this kind of dials it back just a little bit. So if you like the setup we had before in one of our previous load orders, you might want to just disable this. So this is the melee damage boost. So this is basically what I was talking about, which, by the way, is the reason why we don't have the hardcore melee damage scaling mod in this load order. Get looted up real quick. Lots of new swords added by reforging to the masses, so that's cool. Lots of new swords, axes, all kinds of stuff. It's fun to, like, try new things. These armor, banded shield. We're gonna run with the shield now. These are pretty much the same, I guess. Braided sword. Didn't I just pick up another sword, or did I not grab it? Okay, maybe I didn't grab it. Whatever. I'm not gonna clear that whole dungeon because, like I said, the one of our mods adds a ton of enemies, and instead of there just being 4 enemies in there, there's like 9 or 10. So I just kind of want to get to the showcase here and start testing some things out. But I did want to just take a moment to talk about the combat and some of the settings I recommend for Wildcat. You'll notice we just taking a little bit of a stutter here. That's going to be just the combination of the weather pattern we're seeing right now, our foliage. We've got Origins of Forest, we've got Vedas Brahm regions. Hello. We've got Nature of the Wildlands, which is definitely a bit heavier on performance. I mean, as far as tree mods go. Plus we got our water mod on, so there's kind of a lot happening at the moment right now. But you'll see that for the most part, it's very stable. And this if you use my previous load order, the Azurite load order, you'll know that one needs to be tweaked a little bit for the base PS5. This one is pretty viable on the base PS5. That said, I'm still going to make some recommendations. We are back to using the full 13's beaten path. We're doing that just to save a few megabytes. Well, not a few megabytes, really we're saving a few kilobytes by using the bundle as opposed to the modular approach. So it's going to add ferries and carriages back in. It also kind of saves us like 2 or 3 slots. So So the reason I took it out initially, by the way, was because it was the full 13's Beaten Path bundle was not working well, even with the patches for Northern Roads. But since we're no longer using Northern Roads, it's not really an issue for us. However, the reason why in my last video I still was using the modular approach is because at one point I was trying to fit Fluffworks in here. And those horse carriages added by 13's Beaten Path will conflict with Fluffworks. Basically, it'll just have a bunch of invisible horses that are added by 13's Beaten Path. So. Oh, let's talk quick about the NAT settings, because that's kind of important. So for nights, I do brighter nights, and I brighten it by 100%. I find NAT to be really, really dark. Now, NAT has a system built in, and this is the reason why we've dropped moon phase effects brightness, that mod that we used previously in a couple of our load orders. NAT already kind of has that built in, has a system like that. So sometimes you will notice the nights are a little brighter, sometimes you will notice nights are really dark. It really depends on the moon phase, but in general I feel like NAT leans more towards the dark side. So I like to just turn it off. Turn it off, I mean, sorry, my brain's like not working today. I like to just brighten it up by 100. And then the other tweak that we make, by the way, is NAT effects. Hold on one sec. I do saturate, and I saturate it by 25%. You can do whatever you like, but I kind of like a little bit more color. Not a ton, but I feel like NAT is very cold, and it obviously does that for a more natural aesthetic, but I think it just makes the trees and the plants pop just a little bit more, which I like. We are using now the wavy rivers. So actually, let me go back to Riverwood and we can show you water for EMB, wavy rivers. So we no longer have a need for the water for EMB master file, and we also have no need for the water for EMB patches, specifically with like JK's outskirts. And I promise you, in general, the seams are not this bad. I think that's just the weather pattern we have going right now. Try going a little further up the river. You notice those little ripples, those little waves in the water. This is kind of a poor weather to kind of showcase what I'm trying to show you here. So I'm going to go ahead and change the weather. That's better. So this is the wavy rivers. I like it. I like the coloring. I like that I don't need the master file, and I like that it doesn't need patches. It's also a little bit lighter. It's like 3 megabytes lighter than the Shades of Skyrim version. You see what I'm talking about with the blending. It was just that one weather pattern that was kind of making those jagged edges. But in general, this is what you get with Water for EMB. That it already has blending, so there's no need for anything like blended shorelines. Even with blended shorelines, I'm sure with that weather pattern, you would still get some jagged edges. So one thing to know about, let me take that off, take this off. I also don't really want my shield on, I just kind of want it to be static. Oh, that's what happened. I was like, where's my new sword? And I forgot I hotkeyed my iron sword, but did not hotkey this sword. So you will sometimes get this double animation when you unsheath a sword when you have a shield on your back. There is a setting inside of the Simple Workaround framework which you can kind of mitigate it a little bit. You can't truly get rid of it. And now keep in mind, this is pretty much only when you have a sword and shield. I've noticed it's really not even, it's rarely even prevalent when you have an axe, which I generally use. So, but you can change the delay. I'm currently running it at 0.5 seconds. And basically what happens is, you see, like right there, that one was perfect. So I think 0.5 seconds is about as good as you're going to get it. Sometimes it just does that. So it's kind of a thing that I just live with. Now, if you were to just not use a shield, you wouldn't have that problem at all. And when you use an axe, you also don't have that problem. Something about just the sword and shield combo. I'm not quite sure what it is, but this is a common issue when using just shields and Elden Beast. Now, another thing I wanted to say is sometimes when you enter into a fight and your sword isn't quite out yet, you have to wait for the entire sword animation to play before you can start attacking. So if you get in there and you start mashing buttons and like your sword's not out, you'll notice some jank there. It'll feel like jank, but really what the thing is the animation hasn't fully played out yet. You know, listen, I'm aware of all these little tiny bugs with Elden Beast, but yet I still feel like I like the animations from it so much that some of these little, you know, quirks I'm willing to deal with. Now, if that were to ever change, of course, I would take a more modular approach. Now, I want to go to Whiterun quick, because I saw earlier in the Discord, someone put a bug report about the Green Thumb mod. Basically saying it doesn't work properly with JK's Skyrim. And to his credit, if you use the base Green Thumb and then try to patch that in with the Green Thumb patch to JK's Skyrim, it is weird. Like it doesn't actually work as intended. Unless it was always intended to just use the patch straight up with JK Skyrim. If you try to use the base Green Thumb and the patch with JK Skyrim, you will get trees that clip in certain places with JK Skyrim. However, if you use just the patch as it's set up in our load order,
City's closed with the dragons
you should notice that it still works.
Only. Fine. But we'll be keeping an eye on you. At
least mostly. It doesn't change everything to the extent that the base Green Thumb mod does. But you will still get like ivy on the roofs, particularly in Whiterun. I'm pretty sure you still also get it in Solitude.
But we must have more
so
for the Imperial soldiers.
It's working fine here. I mean, look, you got ivy all over the place. So it does work.
I'd sooner bend my knee to Ulfric's Stormborn.
Come on in. Let me know if you need anything, or take a seat by the fire and I'll send someone over.
So our interior lighting is just straight up NAT. There's no luminosity, there's no standard lighting template, there's no nothing.
Yes, Mom? You still need to remove that blood stain.
That's what we're going for here.
Incident.
And I think it's good. I actually like it. I think Nat does a really good job at handling the overall lighting for the world.
You know nothing. Nothing of our struggles, our suffering.
Let's see. What else? Oh, we want to go check out College of Winterhold. So I mentioned this in the Discord thread. So there's an issue with the dodge roll mods. It appears to be all of them. Dodge roll reborn, the ultimate dodge mod, which is bundled into Elden Beast, and I think even character behavior enhanced. Someone mentioned this is an issue. There's two instances where you may have to disable those mods. Now, in my playthrough, using character behavior enhanced, I did not need to disable it for Dragon Rising. You may or may not. I think it might just depend. But during Dragon Rising and entering Solstheim for the first time, you may need to disable those.
Cross the bridge at your own peril. The way is dangerous and the gate will not open. You shall not gain entry. Okay,
so this is interesting because we have the improved College of Winterhold quest line. So it looks like we might be having a conflict here because we should be able to get right in. Yeah, it looks like what's probably happening is Magical College of Winterhold is overriding that. So I may have to try loading that lower to see if that will work. But I'll have that worked out before I release the load order tonight. I may also download something to get rid of that cube, but I may also not. Okay, so we gotta work on that. We gotta tweak that a little bit. I mean, ultimately, it's not the end of the world if that tweak doesn't work, at least not for me. You can just go through the quest proper to get in, or you know, whatever you gotta do, I guess. Where do I want to go here? Let's go to Solitude quick. Just want to check out the Ivy situation in Solitude. So we're getting quite a bit of overgrowth. There's two locations where I've noticed overgrowth like this, and it's right here on the way into Solitude, and there's a little bit in Dragon's Reach. The reason why we didn't have that in our last load order is because we were using Northern Roads, and Northern Roads completely replaces the roads. But we're having it now because generally there is supposed to be grass in some of these locations. But with our INI tweaks and some of our mods, basically vanilla Skyrim was never set up to have this level of density on the flora. So some of this grass that we were replacing with our mods is actually meant to be here. But of course, to this extent, I know some of you, that really bothers you having all that grass in those roads. It's just, we don't have 15 megabytes to download landscape fixes for grass mods and all that kind of stuff.
Tell them he didn't do it.
So, right away, we do have foliage on our solitude roofs. So, to that extent, the green thumb patch is working here. Now, this is the specific situation here, this little area here, where if you tried to use the base green thumb, it would clip. There would be a tree here that clips with this little building here. But we don't have that issue, so that's nice. We do have something going on here, though. What's that all about? I don't know if that's a... well, I do feel like there's normally, with the green thumb, there's some kind of like foliage through here. Maybe I'm misremembering, but I feel like there's usually plants there, so maybe that's a green thumb thing? Maybe green thumb is maybe just kind of borked. Maybe it's just a JK Skyrim thing, but I gotta say, I've never noticed that before with JK Skyrim, nor with writtens. I don't think that would be a written thing. That's some kind of mesh thing going on here. That the building is... I've honestly never noticed that before, though, so I really couldn't tell you. This is the Solitude version 1. And maybe it is. I mean, I was previously running Solitude version 2 with the version 2 written's AIO, so I mean, I don't know. Maybe it could be a version 1 thing. I would have to check that out. But in any event, it's not even like it's a major thing, so I'm not gonna let that stop me from putting out the load order. Everything else appears to be fine. So far, I know the only thing I really want to play with is the Magical College of Winterhold. See if we can get that working with the questline tweak. I think... Oh, another thing I wanted to check out. I downloaded the Nordic Markarth entrance and the Nordic Dawnguard entrance. I just want to see if they clip with JKs at all. At one point, I was really trying to fit in... I don't even know where it would be. At one point I was trying to fit in the Nordic Riverwood, and that was really cool. Just the problem is with JK Skyrim, you get some sections where there's like 2 lanterns kind of right next to each other, and it introduces flickering.
I'd rather spend the gold on a new litter of pups.
And I just couldn't live with that. So now that entrance must be further this way. The Nordic Markarth entrance. I think that's it right there. I think it makes that statue there as well. I don't know about this. I don't think it does this, but... Pretty cool, I dig it. It's a really small file size, so it's not really hurting us much to just kind of throw that in there. And it's a nice little touch, I think. Let's go check out the Dawn Guard one. Was it Dawn Guard or it was Dawn Star? I can't remember. I think it was Dawn Guard though. Kovac, if you watch this, we need a patch for Nordic Ruins of Riverwood and JK Skyrim. It looks so good. It really does. Like the lighting, the torches it adds on the farmhouses throughout Riverwood, and let me get some daylight in our lives here. And even just the Nordic architecture all the way up like the river. It's really, really nice. And like the braziers hanging down, it just adds like a really nice aesthetic to Riverwood. It's actually my favorite Nordic overhaul mod that he released recently. There's a couple lanterns. It just really just need to remove the few lanterns that it adds, and boom, you got a patch. I don't know, I'm kind of starting to think it might have been Dawnstar. Not seeing any Nordic. Oh, Nordic nothing going on here. What's going on? Let me check my creations. Just double check that real quick. Oh, it's Dawn Star. Nice. I think these are added by it. I don't remember these from JK Skyrim. That bone structure right here for sure is from JK Skyrim. This might actually be viable. I'd have to see at nighttime though to see if there's these candles and everything introduce any kind of flickering. I don't see why it would though, there's just not really too many of them. Hell yeah, I think that's gonna work. I think that's pretty much it. Oh. Okay. It's one thing I gotta get used to doing more with Wildcat is utilizing those time clocks. It helps a ton. Let's oh shit, is there more over here? Sometimes it's kind of hard to tell if it's added by 13's Beaten Path or if it's added by Nordic Dawnstar. Oh my god, my brain is fried. If you guys weren't here earlier in the stream, I mentioned how I've been working a ton and my brain and my body are both just smoked, so realistically I should just be sleeping right now, not doing a stream, but here we are. I wanted to get this load order out. Let's check this lighting at night and see if we have any flickering. Sometimes you just gotta shake the screen a little bit. Alright, so that's good. Those are good. We got a culprit. I mean, kind of. Only from that one angle. Huh. Trying to decide if that's going to bother me or not. We could probably just disable this brazier, and that would probably solve our flickering. I mean, we could probably also just disable that candle. Or this. Any one of those things would probably solve the flickering. Let's just get rid of this brazier, just to... Oh, and there's a lantern here, too. That is for sure why we're flickering. We've got a lot of light sources going on here. So let's just see if this fixes it. Disable object. Oh my god, my brain. Oh, I fucked up. Hold up. Hold the phone. Oh my god, I'm doing everything wrong. Enable object closest. Disable object. There we go. And it's gone. Yeah, we're still getting flickering from that thing, huh? Shouldn't be the case. What if, maybe I was supposed to do disable light. This is, I usually only use object. I'm really kind of unsure how to do this. Oh, so that straight up turns the light off. Oh, well, we could have just done that. Hold up. Enable object. Oh my god. My brain's so fried I can't even read. Enable object closest. And we want that thing back. Alright. Boom, fixed. We didn't even have to get rid of the candle. Alright, so that's a quick fix. Just disable light on that candle and we're good to go. Everything else is good. So there is one more Nordic overhaul that we have. And to be honest, I really don't know where this location is, so I'm gonna try to work it out, but I make no promises. Nordic Fantasy Pathway. Leading from Shore's Watchtower down towards Darkwater Crossing. Shore's Watchtower. So, Shore's Stone towards Darkwater. These are areas I'm not super familiar with, so let's see if we can figure out where it is. I genuinely don't know where it is. Oh my god. It's over here. I doubt it's over here. I might have to Google it. Alright, we're gonna Google it. Alright, so here's Riften. It's kinda somewhere, I don't know, it's really hard to see on this picture. Let's find a different picture. I want to say it's like right here. Maybe. A little closer to Riften, maybe? No, I think that's gotta be it. Well, let's go explore. Oh god. So, worth noting, you'll see this when you see the load order, but I ended up taking out Northern Clouds. I also ended up taking out Stars of Nirn, and this is a perfect reason why. Nat does it all. You don't need a cloud retexture. And we saved like 6 or 7 megabytes. Nat does everything. Yeah, so I'm thinking that was it. That we just passed through over there. So, there's one. I wonder if it adds any more. It does. Looks like probably another one. This is Lanterns of Skyrim 2. But that might be from Cove X mod. These as well. Oh yeah, this whole road. Nice, I dig that. It's a prime screenshot right there. Oh, that's the wrong one. That's sick. I think I'm gonna go back to Shorestone and just kind of have a little look around. It's a place I don't get too much. I think we have a raid hoe mod and a I think a spaghetti mod that alters things in that area, so I just want to make sure there's no clipping. That's probably a raid hoe thing. I want to say this is for sure raid hoe. Everything appears to be in order here. Yep. I want to call that good. That's probably raid hoe as well. Yeah, if you're ever in doubt about whether or not you should get raid hoe, I think it's worth it. Alright, so we've been streaming for about an hour. So far everything's pretty good. Definitely want to look into the College of Winterhold situation. I might play around with the Nordic Riverwood overhaul and see if I can't get some of that flickering to cease. See if I can't get that to be stable by using the spell. I may not put it in the load order just because I know a lot of people who download the load order don't really know about the enable disable object spell. And I don't want everything you know, everywhere you go that you have to disable a bunch of things. Riverwood, it's pretty prevalent. There's like 2 or 3 things that you'd have to disable to get it to work, but man, I feel like it adds so much aesthetic to that area that I might just use it personally. So we talked about the water, our new water mod, the wavy rivers. We dropped the master file. We dropped the patches because they're no longer needed for JKs. You know what? Those lanterns. Those lanterns are not. These are the lanterns that I was just talking about. They're not even added by. Hold up. They're not even added by Nordic Overhaul. These outer lanterns are probably Gates of Riverwood. No flickering though. These ones are all JKs. And lanterns of Skyrim. Yeah, I'm gonna try downloading it again and see if I can't solve that flickering issue, because now I'm realizing that those lanterns aren't even... See, like right here, you got 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh. Oh, we are getting some flickering. It's not bad. Like, if I wasn't looking for it, I probably wouldn't even notice that. But you do. You've got 1, 2 torches, 2 lanterns, 3 lanterns, and a brazier right here. It's no wonder that. Oh, and you have a lantern up there as well. It's no wonder that you'd have flickering here. But I want to say I was getting some flickering over here, and it was probably because I think the Nordic Riverwood overhaul adds little torches onto these little pillars here. I'll have to play around with it. Let me just see if I can disable the lighting on this here, what that does. Let's see, which one do I want to disable? Probably this one. Let me turn my HUD back on so I don't mess this up. Ooh, I didn't want to do both of those. Enable light closest. Let's get over here. Alright, so that's back on. We still have flickering here. We might have just solved it. So all you gotta do is disable the light from this lantern, which is added by Raidho, I want to say. So if you're not using Raidho, you're not gonna have this issue. But I like this here, so I'm not gonna go get rid of Raidho. There's also a lot of other cool things Raidho adds to this area. Really wish Skyrim didn't have these engine limitations that causes flickering, but this is working fine now. So I think we can get the Nordic overhaul for Riverwood to work. You know what? Let's download it. I don't advise downloading mods mid-playthrough, but as soon as I'm done with this video, I'm going to waste this save and start new anyway when I do my own playthrough, so this save is going to end up getting deleted. But let's just see if we can figure this out. If you can't tell, I'm like withering away here. I'm hanging on by a thread. The load order may not come out tonight. I may take another day to play with it. But worst case scenario, it'll be out tomorrow, if not tomorrow by Friday. So it'll be out this week regardless before we go into the weekend. Yeah, so for you newer guys, do not touch your controller here. Let this all load. So I canceled what I said earlier. Kovac might have actually already thought this through. And the reason I say that is, I'll show you in a second. Nordic Riverwood. So he's done this in two parts. He's uploaded the Nordic Riverwood overhaul. And then there's a Brazier add-on. So the Brazier add-on will definitely conflict with JK's and Lanterns of Skyrim, either or. I'm not sure which one adds the Braziers that we already have, but so I think he did make an effort to make this compatible. So we're going to download this version. And just to give you an idea, I mean, these pictures are great, but they really do it no justice. Let's throw this in our load order. Then while we're here, we'll see if we can't play around with the magical Winterhold, the magical college of Winterhold. Oh my god. I'm sorry, you guys. I am getting so tired. What am I doing? College of Winterhold. So we already have the improved college entry loaded underneath Magical College of Winterhold. So we may have to just pick one. And I personally think we're going to get more from the Magical College of Winterhold than just this mod that tweaks the entry quest line. Like, yeah, it's a little more convenient, but with our alt start mod, if you were going to play a mage, you could just spawn in the College of Winterhold. So, there's no issue there, really. So we don't actually need this. So we're going to drop that. Alright, problem solved there. Boy, when I love when it's a perfect number. 4 megabytes free on the nose. If that's not a sign that the load order is perfect, I don't know what is. For you newer guys, never load a quick save, by the way. And never click continue. You always want to load, hard load. Hard load a hard save. Improve college entry. Download now. No. Yes. Current. So you see we have these torches here now. Yes, this is where I get the flickering. So, I may try to turn off that lantern. What the fuck did I just do? Save the light. Stubborn one. It may not be possible to disable lanterns added by Lanterns of Skyrim. Let me see what happens if I disable these. I mean, that is the only one that flickers. Oh. Are staying corrected. Now, why would that one flicker? Because this is adding light here. No, we're still flickering. Oh my god, it's Flicker City. Man, that is a shame. It doesn't just add these torches, by the way. You got a nice little Nordic structure and a brazier over here. That thing puts off a lot of light. I wonder if I turn off this one. I might not be able to. It looks like it's probably touched by lanterns of Skyrim. Let me see. Okay, that worked pretty easily. Oh, we're still getting flickering here. Why though? What's going on? This is literally these torches. Oh, we're still getting flickering. I mean, at this point, it's really not even worth using if you're going to turn those torches off. But it is those two torches that cause that problem. It looks like we killed our lantern in the process. Hold on. Let me test this. Pretty sure that just turned both of those back on. Now it's not flickering. But that is... Why is this? Oh my god. Alright. Well. Oh, it's Flicker City, dude. Yeah, we can't do that. This is fine over here. See, why is it that these torches... Look at all the lights in this vicinity. I mean, we have already turned that one off. But these three lights flicker? Hey, alright, now it doesn't flicker. Oh, yeah, it does. Man, that is a shame. So it adds this as well. It adds that. And it adds those, which is arguably my favorite part. I don't know, man. I really want to use this so bad. I'm gonna try one more time over here to disable this light.
Need something?
I mean, you just can't disable those. Well, it is what it is, man. It doesn't work with our setup in its current state. I mean, if he wanted to, he could potentially upload a version, I imagine, if he has the permissions to alter it. That just includes the architecture with the braziers. So it was more of an entry overhaul, similar to some of the other ones we have, and doesn't include these torches. And I think that would make it play nice with JK Skyrim, but at the moment there's just a little too much flickering for my tastes. So we'll be dropping that. We tried. We did try. It's a shame because it looks so good. Alright. So I think I'll take that out. But otherwise, I think we've pretty much worked out all of our issues. I do want to try one thing. Actually, let me take a look at something here. For those of you guys who just joined the stream, I am hanging on by a thread here. I'm so tired. I'm probably going to be ending the stream soon here. But if not today, or if not tomorrow, Friday, the full load order will be released. Where is it? Don't Star Riverwood. He says the base overhaul should be fairly flexible with other overhauls. So, I mean, he has made an effort to make this as compatible as he can. Separated the ground braziers as a separate optional patch. Riverwood Bridge is untouched. Yeah, see, I could see the braziers being I mean, the braziers being separated is definitely helpful, but These torches are killing us. All of a sudden, it's not flickering. Oh, we are getting flickering. Alright, so that one's still flickering. That's flickering. That's flickering. Alright, and just throwing it out there, it's definitely Nordic overhaul throwing us overboard here, because I mean, if you were here earlier in the stream before I threw this mod in, we were not flickering here at all. Right, this is good here. Yeah, no flickering there. There it is. So we got flickering there, here, here, and here. And we did have flickering here, but that seems to have gone away. Alright, it kind of just is what it is. It's not gonna work. Just make sure. Oh, yeah, I mean, everything's good over there. Oh, if you watched the stream last time, we had a all dogs are huskies mod. The reason why I took that out, I do like that mod, but the problem is with Riverboard's wolves, which we are using to overhaul the wolves, it makes the wolves huskies too, which, I mean, I don't know, I guess it's not the end of the world, but it was kind of strange that everything was the same, basically looked the same. So we've kept Riverboard's wolves, and we took out all dogs are huskies. Alright, but that's it. I'm gonna end up taking this out, and I don't know, maybe I'll play with a couple more mods, but I would expect the load order to drop tomorrow. I mean, it's like 99% of the way there. This was just for fun thing. This was not originally on my plans for tonight, throwing the Nordic Riverwood overhaul in, but I wanted to play around with it, but it's not gonna work. So, but yeah, guys, that's gonna be me for the night. I need to get some sleep. I'm tired as hell. I've been working like a dog all week, and I gotta get up at 7 tomorrow, and it's currently going on 11. So, thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll catch y'all tomorrow.